The 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, one of the best safeties this program has ever seen. The great Tony Parrish is joining us here live from the zone right here. There you go. Make some noise for TP on the Washington IMG Sports Network. Tony, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man.
Good to see you, pal. You look incredible. What's it like to be sitting next to this clown again here on the radio show, huh?
You know, every time I say Dick, I just can't think but smile. I just smile. Everyone just laughs when you see Dick. You can't. There's just... Yeah, it's so you can't show on air.
We were at the Rose Bowl practicing with Coach James, and I believe we lost to Michigan that year.
Yep.
But his high school coach comes up and he gives me a tape.
Yep.
And so I spent the whole practice with his coach, and I said, "Now, you tell me this guy can play." And he goes, "Yeah, you got to see him in track." I said, "What does he do?" He's a triple jumper. I said, "Well, what does he do?" You know, like kids, good triple jumpers do 46, 47, maybe 48 feet. He says, "Oh, he's a 50-foot triple jumper." And I said, "Come on, man, 50 feet." He goes, "Yeah, he's a state champ."
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, who's recruiting him?" He says, "He's really not getting looked at by anybody."
Wow.
So I take the tape and I go watch it immediately. I go into the meeting the next morning and tell Coach James, I said, "We just found us a player here. His coach came yesterday. Wait till you guys see this tape. And the guy's a 50-foot triple jumper. I want to offer him right now." And Coach James goes, "Well, we don't do things like that. You know, we have to go through the whole process and stuff like that." But Tony he jumped on. I started talking to him right away. I talked to our coach that recruited the area, Miles Corrigan. I said, "Miles, what are you doing? I didn't think you drank. How did you miss this guy?"
I was definitely a little-known kid. I was actually young. I was still 16 at the time.
Wow.
I was undersized, and I just played a little bit of everything on the football field and other sports, and I was kind of hiding and waiting.
Right, well, that would have
That
been...
was before the internet. Nobody knew about him. I grabbed him off the shelf like, "I'll take him right now."
But that would have been before the game that you won, the 92 Rose Bowl, the national championship
probably
year,
was.
because
That's
the Michigan
correct.
loss was the next year. So, growing up in California, what did you kind of think about the name Don James? I mean, obviously he left us, as you know, 6 days ago, Tony.
Yeah.
But growing up in California, what do you remember thinking about Don James as a young high school football player?
As a young high school football player, when I saw Don James, I just knew he was the man that was leading that crazy defense that I saw on the field.
Yeah.
That's what I knew, and I was just one of those California kids that kept looking towards the Northwest like, man, maybe I'll go up there if they'll let me.
And that crazy defense could use a crazy guy like you.
Yeah, I remember seeing everyone lined up on the line of scrimmage, and I was like, what is that? Right? I want to do that.
Hey, Cal's coming in here, and they do an up just like we did. They'll have 7 guys standing at the line of scrimmage.
I love it.
Where did they get that?
Yeah. How much did you love playing that defense, though, man?
I mean, I loved the freedom, especially when I was at the free safety position.
Right.
Because we could line up where we want. I remember faking in the A gap and covering the deep middle. Wow. And I have a coach going, "Well, as long as you make it." So I was like, yes, I'm doing it.
Well, Tony Parrish is with us, and you were a part of the '93, right, Husky football team. So you would have been a part of, I guess, technically Don's last recruiting class.
Yep.
Go back to that day when he stepped down and what the reaction was from the players. You were telling me off the air that some guys were thinking about maybe leaving the program.
Yeah, well, it was shock. You know, we're in the team meeting room down under the tunnel. And, when the news came out, I didn't really know exactly what happened because, you know, I remember I'm still a freshman. I had just been here a few weeks, and it was shock, and people were just completely upset. It was definitely not what everyone wanted.
Sure.
And then came the questions. What is this recruiting class going to do? Because now as freshmen, we have the opportunity to go anywhere we want without penalty.
And how many guys left?
No one.
Nobody.
No one left.
Somebody started recruiting all over again.
Exactly. No one left. We actually had a couple meetings up in McMahon Hall.
Yeah.
We just went into a room and sat there. Guys looked at each other, and it was really a filling out. We all wanted to stay, but you had to fill out what was going to happen because we had only been together really very briefly. Weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Who else was in that class, by the way, with you?
Cam Cleland, Rashawn Sheehy, Fred Coleman.
Wow.
Who else was in our class that year, huh? Jerry Jensen.
There you go. Yep.
Chris Campbell.
Yep.
Suki Wiggs.
Good names.
Yeah, we had a good class. I think the year I was drafted, we had 11 guys drafted that year. The year I came out in '98.
Right. So you come to UW and you have the option to leave.
Right.
Okay, but you stay here. You come out, you beat Stanford, right? I think in '93
I
in the
remember
opener.
in that game, that was the game where Bill Walsh in the LA Times said Washington was a bunch of mercenaries.
Yeah. You guys remember that, by the way?
And we came out and made a point to show you some mercenaries. We won it for Coach James. And also, if I'm not mistaken, their quarterback, I'm trying to remember which quarterback that was, he had never finished the game against Washington, and it was his senior year, and I think he made it to the second quarter.
Wow. Well, yeah, those mercenaries showed no mercy on Stanford that day. The whammy in Miami, though, and the next year had to kind of stand out as kind of the biggest win of those first couple years for you.
Great. I remember being in the game. I remember being a redshirt freshman playing at safety. I remember when I first got in the game, there was a little guy they had. He wore number 3. I'll never forget. His name was Jonathan Harris. I went up to go press him in the slot, and he was the quickest thing I had ever seen in my life. And I was on a panic trying to catch up to him. I could just hear Keith Jackson's voice, like making the call as they throw the ball to him for a touchdown. And I came back in the huddle. They said, "Oh yeah, TP, don't press him." I was like, "Now you tell me." The nation is watching, and now you tell me.
And then he finishes his career against Nick Saban,
right?
If I'm not mistaken,
in the Aloha Bowl.
In the Aloha Bowl, and he intercepts a couple balls, if I'm not mistaken. One he took back to the house. So if we could get another one like him, I think it would really help.
Hey, you know, look, Tony, when I say you look like you can play today, you look like, and I'm not checking you out. You look like you can play right now.
I'm still my playing weight.
Good for you.
I'm the same playing weight I've been since 90. I don't know, probably 95.
Yeah.
96.
What are you doing these days?
Lifting weights.
Apparently.
I'm down in Southern California just hanging out, being an entrepreneur, making up stuff.
Good for you, man.
Having a good time,
I love it, man. Hey, listen, you're the man. Thanks for doing this, brother.
You.
Tony Parrish with us for a few minutes on the radio show. I think it was Steve Stenstrom, by the way, was the quarterback.
Right. You got it.
The power of the internet, baby.
There we go.
Through for me yet again. By the way, update from Eugene.